Hakadosh Boker Or. We're now in business halacha. You have the booklets over there, the Yeruch over there, Chelik Bet. Right now, in this Chelik, what we're going to be speaking about is that when they're going to come and they're going to buy and sell, right, from during the time of the shuk. Yeah. So he comes and he sells and he says as follows. Yes, right? Daf Kav Bet Amud Bet. Yeah, Taiti? Yeah. Yerucha, yeah, Yerucha. Everyone has Yerucha. Okay. So it says the Gemara like this. The Gemara says, we were talking about, if you remember, that Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak comes and he says that Rav Huna Bered Vishua was modeh to do with Rochlin, which are the peddlers that are going from one part of the city to another part of the city, that they cannot stop them. Why? Because Ezra Sofer made a takana for Bnei Yisrael, Shiyu Rochlin, Machzirim Ba'irot, Kadesh Yu Tachshitim Mitzuyin, Bnot Yisrael. So that way there should always be women that are going to be having the adornments which they need, right, amongst Israel. But that's only to go around house to house. But le'akvuye, which means to make something kavua, right? So then no. Now we said v'itzur b'merabananhu. What happens if it's a tzur b'merabananhu, which means a rabbi? So therefore, afilu lakvuye nami, he's allowed to even make himself kavua. He told them that they're allowed to do it. My time I was reasoning. Because since they're rabbis, you're going to stop them from coming and from learning, right? And therefore, we don't want to stop them learning, and therefore, it's going to be permitted. Okay? So now he comes and he says like this. Right? He says as follows. Yeah? We say like this. Hanau diklai. Right? Everyone has it? We're in the Gemara. We're on page 30. Okay? On the right side where it's gray. Okay? Hanau diklai. De'aitu diklai lebavel. So there are people that they were mochre salim. What are mochre salim? They sell baskets. Right? Now they brought it from Bavel to sell it during the day of the shuk, the day of the marketplace. Okay? So he says, Atu bnei mata kamak ve'ilavayu. So all of a sudden, what happens is the people of the city, they come and they wanted to stop them. So Atu l'kamed Ravina, they came in front of Ravina. V'amalu, and he told them, Me'alma atu ule'alma lizavnu. They're coming from the world and they're selling from the world. What does that mean? They're coming from the world and they're selling from the world, right? So it means, right, that they are coming from the outside, but they're also selling to the outside. So therefore, since they're coming from the outside and selling to the outside, so therefore there's no problem. But when is this? That's only going to be on the Yom HaDeshuka, which is the day of the marketplace. Aval, however, though, without the Yom HaShuk, no. Uviyom HaDeshuka nami, and even if it's going to be Yom HaShuk, nami lo HaShuk, I'll need to sell it in actual shuk. Right? Aval le'adure, but to go around from one place to another place, it's going to be asur. Okay? So he comes and he says, Anau amurai. The next halacha is, there were people that they were selling tzemer, right? Imra, the tzemer, wool. Daitu amra that they brought imra lefumnara to fumnara. Atu bnei mata kamak v'ilavayu. So again, the people of the city came and they started stopping them. Yeah. So Atu l'kamed of Kahana, they came in front of Kahana and Barmalu, and he told them, Dino dumak v'ilaichu, you could actually stop them. Samrullah, so they said, he could stop you. Why? You guys are coming from the outside of the city and you're not allowed to sell. So they went and they said, yeah, but 1 second. Itlan ashrai. We've got people here that we have to collect our debts.
So we learned that.
Yes, we learned it. Now we're going through it again because now we're going to learn halachot of minagim.
The people that come just temporary for a couple of days and they still.
So Amar lehu, what?
Because they owe them money.
Exactly. So Amar lehu, he comes and he says, Zilu zabnu shiur chayutaychu, right? Go and sell whatever you need in order for you to maintain yourself for the days, right? Adakritu ashai ditchu, until you collect your debts, vazlitu, and then you could go off, right? You could go on your way, basically. Okay, until here we're clear? Okay. Says Rashi. Huh? Says Rashi, right? We only started the Gemara. Right? Says the Gemara. Right? It says over here dikulai. What are dikulai? On the right side of Rashi, mochre salim, v'yeshomni mochre yorot. Whether it's going to be that they sell baskets or they sell pots, one or the other. Ule alma li zamnan, yoma de shuk ahava. It was the day of the shuk. And other people come from other places of the world, right? Liknot min hashuk. Lefichach, and therefore, meaning, the fact that people are coming from the outside, it's like a yirid. How do you say the yirid? The expos, and they do, how do you do? Conventions and all these things. What does that mean? Somebody that lives there, he's going to say, listen, I'm local, I could stop you. I'm sorry. Everyone, just like everyone's coming from the outside and they could sell, so too you're allowed to do it. farmers markets, expos, this flea markets, all these things. Galleries. Yeah. So he says, right? Amorai. What are amorai? Mochre tzemer. They sell tzemer. Itlan ashai b'mata. Macharnu, right? Be'omna. We sold with emuna, which means we sold with the trust, which is on hakafa. Utzrichim anu lishot kan ad shenigve We have to stay here until we're going to collect our debts. Ve'im en anu machrin utzuchorotehem. Right now, if we're not going to sell our merchandise, how are we going to have parnasa? So he says, you're right. You're going to be able to stay here ad. Right? You're going to stay here ad deakritu, which means until you're going to uproot your chovot, right? And then get out of here, basically. Right? Fine. So look in the Tosafot. Me'alma. Right? Me'alma atu. On the top left. Top left. Yeah? Mikan mashma deveyoma deshuka. היה מותר להלוות לבני אדם הבאים ממקומות. Right? From here it's mashma that in Yom HaShuk, it was mutar להלוות לבני אדם הבאים ממקומות שם לשוק לנוכרים, תיאטו מעלמה, אבל לבני המקום לא, ודווקא בשוקה, אבל להדורה לא. So what is he coming and he's saying over here? Right? It's mashma over here that on Yom HaShuk it's going to be mutar להלוות לבני אדם הבאים ממקומות. Right? You're allowed to lend to them. Right, that they're coming from outside places, right? Here you've got a little tiny yod, mimkomam, right? Abayim mimkomam sham leshuk lenochrim deatu me'alma, aval livnei makom lo, vedavka beshuka aval adure lo. So look in the bottom, right? I'm gonna read it in Hebrew and then in English. Ravina, hitil למוכרים שבאו מחוץ לעיר למכור בתוך השוק לאלו, right? הבאים לשם, רק אסרום, right? מלחזור על פתחי הבתים. So again, you're allowed to sell in the shuk, but you're not allowed to come and to sell it to the houses. So you can't go house by house. Meaning not because I came into the city, I could go house by house. I could only sell in the shuk. Now he says, וכתוב התוספות, שמאי טעם המותר ליהודים שבאו מחוץ לעיר להלוות בריבית, right? לנוכרים הבאים right, לסחור בשוק, אבל אסור לי להלוות לבני המקום אפילו בשוק. וכן מי שיש לו הלוואות בתוך העיר יכול למכור כדחיותו עד שיגבה הלוואותיו. So let me say it in English for those that don't understand the Hebrew. Ravina. He's going to allow non-residents to sell their wares in the area of the marketplace to those who came from the outside abroad, provided that they do not go around selling in the city proper, inside the actual city. One second. Tosafot, though, and that's why we learned Tosafot, he's extending the allowance. And he's saying that I'm allowed to come. Imagine right now I came from out of town, and I go to New York, and in New York they're going to come, and there's going to be a big expo, there's a big show. So not only no, not the houses. The houses we said was not allowed to. That's Gemara. The Gemara says I could only sell to the shuk, right? To the people that are coming to the shuk, or I could sell what? Or I can go house to house. But Tosafot adds, and he says I'm allowed to lend with interest to a non-Jew in the market. Okay, one more time. I'm allowed to lend to the goy money with interest in the market. However, though, I cannot lend to the local non-Jews even in the market, which means I could only lend to the goyim that came here from outside. I cannot lend to the local non-Jews. Even in the market.
Because
in the market you're allowed to.
No, because
That's what I'm saying. In the market you're allowed. So you're not allowed.
No, so he just said now you're not allowed in the market.
Who's telling you not allowed? What I'm telling you allowed?
No, Tosafot just said you're not allowed to lend the non-Jew, the local non-Jew, in the market.
ורש"י, הגמרא אומרת שכן מותר?
No, the Gemara is talking about a different case.
Because you're taking away business from the people that land locally to the non-Jew.
שאל תעזור לאלה שהיו תושבי חוץ.
One more time. Let me explain because I think one more time. One second. Everyone, if everyone just please be quiet and then you'll understand. Yeah.
We mentioned previously that if you came to another city,
What did the Gemara speak about? First of all, did the Gemara ever speak about lending money? No. The Gemara is talking about selling. I cannot do competition. What is the competition? The Gemara comes and it says, right, that there's a special halacha. The special halacha is that Yom HaShuk, since it's a public thoroughfare and it's a place that people are coming from the outside, so therefore that I'm coming from the outside and I'm coming to the shuk, I could also set up shop in the shuk because I'm not selling to the locals. I'm selling to the people that are coming right from the outside. If it's for the locals have their local shuk. They don't need me. There is a expos or whatever you want to call it, exactly, conventions or the flea markets or whatever it is. Yeah. Actually, flea markets, I think they're local. I don't know if it's good whatever. But
בפלי מרקט לא קבוע.
oh, okay, fine. So the flea market, which is lo kavua, but no, because sometimes they're kavua, meaning that I don't need it. So they're coming from the outside and they're being sold to the outside. That is the Gemara. Okay, until that's very, very clear. One more time, 1 second. So now he comes and he says like this. So now this is the Gemara. Comes Tosafot and they say the following. Tosafot now is going to extend the heter, not only to selling, but to lending and to the locals.
No, to the non-local.
Oh, to the non-locals, right? What does that mean? That means like this.
And they have to be non-Jewish.
The goyim come, no, because obviously we're talking about you're lending beribit. If you're lending without ribit, so that what's you're coming, you have a goy that comes to you, so you're allowed to lend him money, right? With ribit. Now I would have had a havamina to say, listen, one second. You're coming from the world, selling to the world. That's fine. But if you're coming from the outside, who gives you permission now to lend money with ribit, right, to the goyim that are coming from the outside? Maybe that it's only for the locals. So Tosafot is extending the heter that once they're coming from the outside, an extension of business is lending with ribit. Now again, it has to be goyim. I'm not allowed to lend with ribit to a Jew. So it has to be to the goyim. So therefore, the goyim that are coming outside, I'm allowed to lend them with ribit without any problem. But says the Tosafot, lending the money with ribit. That's Tosafot.
Not the product.
No. Lending money with ribit. 1 second. But what happens if they're locals? Their goyim are local, and I come from the outside. So here I'm not allowed to, even in the marketplace. That's what Tosafot says. Which means Tosafot says that even though, why I could say, listen, but I'm in the marketplace. No. The second he's local, you have to go to your local guy. And the local guy will come and he's going to lend you money. I cannot lend you money.
There's another reason I would say that Tosafot says.
The what? Look now on page 31. Right? On page 31, we have the Rosh. And the Rosh comes and it says as follows. You have the line on the right side on the Rosh. Rabbeinu Asher. Rabbeinu Asher is the Rosh. Right? Remember that Rabbeinu Asher is the Rosh. The Rosh is the father of the Tur. So the Rosh says like this. Anawi amarai da'aiti amra lefum naharatu b'nematu v'kameak ve'alayhu. Right? Atu l'kamid Rav Kahana ve'amar lehu dina u'demak ve'alayhu pirush. Im rotzim limkor al yad kederech chenvanim. אבל למכור סחורה בבת אחת, אין יכולים לעכב עליהם. So he comes and he says this. He says, if they want to sell al yad, right? Just like the chenvanim. But to come and to sell it in one shot, they cannot stop them. So he comes and he says like this. Look in the footnote, the pilpula charifta. You've got on the bottom, right? This is an explanation on the Rosh, right? So he comes and he says like this. היינו למכור סחורתם ליד, right? ונראה לי, שלמד כן, מדמצאו בני העיר לעכב עליהם, because the Bnei Ha'ir were able to stop them. Ve'ilu b'mochrim schoratam bevat achat mimatzu me'akvu. Right? He says one thing, but if they're going to sell it in one shot, they could stop them. V'alo derech ha'olam להוליך סחורתו ממקום למקום. ואם אתה אומר כן, נמצא משא ומתן של עולם בטל. אלא ודאי ממוכר על יד דווקא. הוא דמצו me'akvu. Which means like this. Here, what the Rosh is coming and he's saying is, there's going to be a difference between selling as a one-off, like how do you call it, like a retailer, like a wholesaler, or you're selling one by ones. Meaning, if you're going to sell one by one, it's going to be prohibited. If you're selling everything in one shot, nobody could stop you. So he comes, look in the bottom, you have it. Which one? No, to the local. You're coming from outside, you're allowed to sell as a one-off. As a one-off, you're allowed to sell in bulk, not one by one. So look in the footnote, right? Harosh התיר לאלו שדרים מחוץ לעיר לבוא ולמכור סחורתם בבת אחת, wholesale, ורק למכור על יד, which is retail, כדרך הכוונים, is going to be אסור. וביאר הפלפול החריפתא שכן הוא דרך העולם. That's the normal way of the world. להוליך סחורה ממקום למקום, ואם בני העיר יכולים לעכב, נמצא משא ומתן בטל. Right? He says, hey, you're going to stop it. So if you look in the English, he says it as well, which now we just made a differentiation between wholesales and retail, because for example, wholesales, usually they don't live here. I'm going to come and I meet in China, I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know what. Phones, right, watches. I don't know what, clothing. I need to sell. So I'm going to go to, right, to Miami, to Los Angeles, to New York, to this, to that, and I'm going around. Now, how am I allowed to sell? Right? The answer is very, very simple. I'm a wholesale. I'm not retail. So I come and I sell in bulk. So when I'm coming and I'm going to sell you in bulk, nobody could stop you. So that's what he says over here also in English. Non-residents may come to the city and sell their wares all at once wholesale. This is because intra-city commerce is considered vital for
אין
trade.
מגבלה
אוקיי.
בהולסל
לא.
ביזנס?
לא.
גם בעיר